The world watches with a mixture of apprehension and hope. We have seen great progress since the devastation of the 20th century. Yet the shadow of war still hangs over us. It is a sobering thought, but we must consider the unthinkable, a third world war. This essay is not a prediction. It is a warning. By exploring hypothetical scenarios, we can better understand the consequences of conflict. We can also appreciate the importance of diplomacy and peace. The world is interconnected in ways unimaginable a century ago. Economic ties, technological advancements, and global communication have created a complex web of interdependence. This interconnectedness brings opportunity but also vulnerability. We must be aware of the dangers, we must be prepared to confront them, but most importantly, we must strive to prevent them. To understand the potential for a future world war, we must look to the past. The 20th century was scarred by two devastating global conflicts. These wars were sparked by a complex interplay of factors. Nationalism, imperialism, and economic competition all played a role.
The First World War was triggered by the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand. A web of alliances then drew the great powers into a conflict that consumed Europe. The Second World War was a more direct result of aggressive expansionism. Nazi Germany, under Adolf Hitler, sought to dominate Europe and beyond. These wars resulted in unprecedented death and destruction. They left millions dead and entire continents in ruins. The lessons of these conflicts are clear. Aggression, unchecked, can lead to global catastrophe. International cooperation and diplomacy are essential to maintaining peace.
The Cold War, while not a direct military confrontation, further highlighted the dangers of global tensions. The threat of nuclear annihilation hung over the world for decades. This era underscored the terrifying potential of modern warfare. It also demonstrated the importance of dialogue and détente. Today, while the world is vastly different, the potential for conflict remains. Several global hotspots could escalate into wider conflicts. These flashpoints are like kindling, waiting for a spark.
One such flashpoint is the South China Sea. Territorial disputes in this region involve several countries. The presence of vital shipping lanes and potential resources raises the stakes. Military buildups and assertive posturing increase the risk of miscalculation. The Middle East remains a volatile region. Long-standing conflicts, religious tensions, and the fight against terrorism create a combustible mix. The involvement of external powers further complicates the situation. Cyber warfare represents a new and dangerous domain. Attacks on critical infrastructure such as power grids and financial systems could have devastating consequences. The difficulty in attributing these attacks makes retaliation complex and potentially escalatory.
Any future world war would be fought on land, sea, air, and cyberspace. It would involve technologies far more advanced than anything seen before.
Drones, autonomous weapon systems, and hypersonic missiles could redefine the battlefield. Nuclear weapons remain the most terrifying prospect. The use of even a single nuclear device would have catastrophic consequences. The risk of escalation to a full-scale nuclear exchange is a chilling possibility. Cyber warfare could cripple nations without firing a shot. Attacks on critical infrastructure could disrupt communication, transportation, and essential services. The potential for widespread chaos and societal breakdown is significant. The speed and complexity of modern warfare would make it difficult to control. Misinformation and propaganda would flourish. The lines between combatants and civilians would blur, leading to increased civilian casualties.
Section 5. A world in chaos, the human cost of conflict. The human cost of a third world war is almost unimaginable.
Millions, if not billions of lives could be lost. The use of nuclear weapons would contaminate vast areas with radiation, rendering them uninhabitable for generations.
The global economy would collapse, trade would grind to a halt, food shortages and famine would be widespread.
The fragile web of globalization would unravel, leading to isolationism and instability. The refugee crisis would dwarf anything seen before.
Millions would be displaced from their homes, seeking refuge in a world ill-equipped to help. The strain on resources and social structures would be immense.
The psychological impact of such a conflict would be profound. The trauma experienced by soldiers and civilians alike would scar generations.
The loss of life, the destruction of homes and communities, and the constant fear would leave lasting wounds.
Despite the grim possibilities, there is hope. Diplomacy remains our most powerful tool for preventing conflict. International organizations, such as the United Nations, provide a forum for dialogue and cooperation. Treaties and agreements, while imperfect, help to manage tensions and reduce the risk of escalation. Arms control agreements, for example, aim to limit the proliferation of the most dangerous weapons. Dialogue and diplomacy require patience, understanding, and a willingness to compromise. They require recognizing our shared humanity and the need to find peaceful solutions. History has shown that even the most intractable conflicts can be resolved through dialogue. The end of the Cold War stands as a testament to the power of diplomacy.
Technology presents both opportunities and challenges in the quest for peace. On the one hand, technological advancements can enhance communication and understanding. They can facilitate dialogue and promote transparency. On the other hand, technology can be used to sow discord and mistrust. Social media can be weaponized to spread propaganda and incite violence. Cyber warfare capabilities can be used for espionage, sabotage, and disruption. It is essential that we harness technology for good. We must promote responsible innovation and establish international norms for cyberspace. We must ensure that technology is used to bridge divides, not widen them.
Preventing a third world war is not just the responsibility of governments and international organizations. It is the responsibility of every global citizen. We must all play our part in fostering understanding and tolerance. Education is crucial. By learning about different cultures, histories, and perspectives, we can break down stereotypes and promote empathy. We can teach future generations the importance of peace and the futility of war. We must hold our leaders accountable for their actions. We must demand that they prioritize diplomacy and peaceful solutions. We must make our voices heard and let them know that we will not stand for war. Each of us has a role to play in building a more peaceful and just world. By embracing our shared humanity and working together, we can create a future free from the threat of global conflict. The possibility of a third world war is a stark reminder of the fragility of peace. The consequences of such a conflict would be devastating beyond comprehension. The lessons of history are clear. Unchecked aggression, nationalism, and the failure of diplomacy can have catastrophic consequences. However, we are not doomed to repeat the mistakes of the past. We have the knowledge, the tools, and the responsibility to choose a different path. Diplomacy, international cooperation, and a commitment to peace are essential. Technology presents both opportunities and challenges. We must harness its power for good, promoting understanding and communication. We must also guard against its potential for misuse and establish clear norms for its use in warfare. The future is not predetermined, it is shaped by the choices we make today. By embracing diplomacy, promoting understanding, and working together, we can create a world where the unthinkable remains just that, unthinkable.